All right, logging into the compass. You want to get into your BMS, you click on here. It will populate this the window. This should be running at all times anyways. You're going to go to log in, log out, and then once you log in, it'll prompt you, and then you just click top display. I'm logged in right now, so maybe I'm not logged in. Oh yeah, I am. Okay. Yep. So my name up here on the top right. Just starting from the top. First thing, alarm manager. You want to check these daily. The team should be checking them daily. In the live data, you can see if there's active or inactive alarms. We need to check on this. It shows chiller room leak detected. They did just do the annual on this day, so it just must not have been reset. So we got to go back and reset that. That's not good. Also, these loss of power, we have leak detectors in all the mechanical spaces. They need to be opened and reset inside the device once they're dry. And then right now we're still having an issue with this air handler 2-3. We'll get into that in a second, but we did install on the link system. Every like 5 minutes it will alarm and then go out of alarm. I believe because it's ramping down with a VFD, I think that the CT, which provides you it's detecting whether the motor is on or off based on amperage being pulled through one of the legs. I think because we ramp down the power with a VFD, I think that the calibration is off, and now it will start, stop, every time the fan is on and off. So Climatech was working on this, but that one is still an issue. So anyways, we'll go to top display. So just from the top, these are all being disabled. These need to be disabled. A project was done this year. We installed Incom. It is March 22nd, 2025. Within the last month, we finished this project. So all of these, like fifth floor, this was all Allerton thermostats in the guest rooms. These are removed, and now they just read as NR. So Allerton, one of the projects, Allerton needs to go through and just remove everything third floor through 17 from here. And then Incom will be the new system. I would like them to drop an Incom link here so that Incom can be accessed from this computer. Should be possible, but the team is going to need that to troubleshoot the new thermostats, the locks, and everything. Just going through right here, this FP is freeze protection. So we did have Climatech put these lights in, so we know in the wintertime if any of these are tripped on a freeze alarm locally on the unit. So we don't want to turn those back on. Just a little bit of knowledge on those. The freeze stats are after both coils, which is very stupid. I mean, they were designed to be in between the hot water and the cold water coil, but they're after both. Do not change them to 32 degrees. Someone did that at one point. We broke like 4 coils before I got here. I got here and there was 4 broken coils we had to replace. So they are supposed to be set at 41 degrees. That's what it shows in the prints as the design. So don't set them any lower. During the wintertime, there's nothing you can do if one of those trips and it's colder than like 30 degrees out. You should not be constantly having the team reset them just because there's a group in the ballroom. It's possible that your return fan's not working or your outside air damper is stuck open, which made it freeze in the first place. But anyways, these are all freeze points. As far as the units, pretty self-explanatory. I don't have anything to really go over on those. There is a project that I'm giving to Joanna on the studios. This outside air damper for 1A2, 1A3, and 1A4 is completely closed on the roof. It has been since opening. They installed the outside air damper upside down. So they're closed, permanently closed. There's no outside air coming into the pre-function, the studios, and the lobby. Hopefully that will be fixed in the next 2 months. Then back from the main page, the hot water system. So some of this has changed recently. All of this over here is new. So in 2023, there's what's called the mini mod, which is the boiler controller that's on 27th floor. This is hot water only, boiler loop, not domestic. The closed loop has a mini mod controller that's up there. We, as part of the upgrade for the BMS, I had them put a backnet controller in there. So all of these points dropped in. This can communicate with them, but we haven't really dove in too much here on what these do and anything. But there is some control. Those boilers are modulating boilers, 1 through 7. Pump controller. We did upgrade all the VFDs in 2022. They had all failed. I promise you in the next couple years they're going to fail again. They do not have proper cooling inside the cabinets. The room gets too hot. Those VFDs are going to overheat and fail again. So when it happens again, I would say that what we need to do is get mini splits that exhaust or put the condensers on the outside of the hotel, and that they pump cold air in there to keep those VFDs from failing. Let's see. We also our differential set point controller up there was working good. We did replace the one on the chiller loop. That one was not working properly, but just keep an eye on that. All your energy savings will go out the window if that fails. They're either going to ramp all the way up or down. You won't know what's happening. The cooling towers, really would like us to see us getting actuated valves here and having Climatech rebuild this whole system. Right now you've got to climb up and change one tower to the other. Both towers are dumping water, but only one tower has the fan on. And we basically just alternate, but think of all the water that we're losing as an account of that through like evaporation and just, yeah. So future project, putting actuating valves on the supply and return for the cooling towers. This has been on since the day I got here. There is a cooling tower low level alarm. Something to look into, but because they both are full, we just use the one. The chillers, Victor can kind of go over this with you on how they run and everything. You have these signaling lights. The top light will say that it's the command right here. It's calling for the pathway to open, and then until that valve makes the end switch and both green lights are on, that's when you can tell that that the flow pathway is open. So right now it is 60 degrees out, but we're running free cooling right now. Well, it's 4 o'clock. It's about to get cold, so we'll just leave it. I think our high was only 59 today. When we're in between free cooling and mechanical cooling, the building will start to heat up a little bit. But unless we have events, we don't usually run the chiller. We just kind of leave it. Right now we have a decent chill water and chill water return temps, so it hasn't heated up too much. It's just a 2-degree delta. We're not sold out today, so we looked at chillers and pumps. These lobby benches, I'm leaving. It's March right now. 1 through 5 was working properly. 6 through 10 was not working. I think what happened here is the contractors, so they cut both sets of thermostats out. I told them not to. The drywall guys came in, or the demo guys, and they just cut them off the wall. So I had Climatech come back in. It was like 18 degrees. I had them set this side up, and this side should be working. Yep, they're set to occupied right now. They're actually heating. And then the other side, 6 through 10, these should say all NR because they don't have power. The power for these, I believe, is connected to a receptacle in the living room bench area. So once they get that set up, we can turn the power on. There's a lot of cables just sitting there that the electrician hasn't hooked up. So once they get that electricity hooked up and these turn back on, if these still don't turn on, then we need to call out the electrician or the controls guy. But right now, only half of them are running. And then we were working on a project in February of this year. We put it on an IntelliHood system. I had him build this out, but they didn't leave. Instead, what they did was they just put a interface on the internet. I didn't realize they have their own interface. So I think it's right here. Yep. So basically what Climatech did was, I'll go back. So there's an interface for it. I got to get the login for you, but I'll leave it in my pass down notes. There's a link right here and it says IntelliHood Malink. So the kitchen exhaust for Banquet and the kitchen exhaust for Halifax has a VFD on both the makeup and the exhaust fan. So there's 4 VFDs. The supply and exhaust, or the makeup and exhaust for those areas, are linked together through the Malink hood system, which like detects smoke and it detects them cooking. So when no one's in the kitchen, it will ramp down to a slower speed. So there is an interface for that, and it has a bunch of details. What beam, there's laser beams that shoot across the top of the hoods that detect smoke. So it will tell you the status on the beams. It'll tell you a whole bunch of stuff. Because the system does speak BACnet, I was gonna have them drop everything in here, but they have their own interface that's like super, has everything integrated and built out. So just typing in your email and password, I think it should just be checked like once a week, and you can look at trends on there. Down here, there is a VAV system on 1A, which is the back of house for the first floor green room HR where I'm sitting right now. There is a unit called 1A7. It says back of house laundry, but it's everything on this floor. This unit is 100% outside air. So when it gets really hot, it is horrible to try to get this thing to cool down enough. It doesn't work. When it's like 95 degrees out, the chill water just doesn't get cold enough. It doesn't keep up. So one thing that we do is right before the filters, there's a door in there. So on days when it's really hot, if you leave that open, it just acts as a return. Rather than bringing 94-degree air, it'll bring air from the space in at 75, and then we can cool it without it going outside. They should have put a return in there. It probably would have created pressure issues because there's not a full open air plenum back, but just something to know because laundry team complains about it when it gets really, really, really hot, and the only thing that you can do is open that door. So, studios, we did go through and fix all these. So the studio air handler is air handler 1A-3. Okay, so this one, we've had issues with the studios, and the way they're set up is it is a variable air volume unit. So they're technically, well, they're not really VAVs, they're fan power boxes, but they do the same. They just have heat, but they have a localized fan in them rather than just a damper. So air gets pulled through. Right now we're just returning it and exhausting it. We're bringing in fresh air from outside because it's colder. But these units have a hot water and a cold water coil in the 1A mechanical room, right? That air handling unit. Then out here under floor 2, you've got 4 individual boxes for the studios. So if one unit is calling for cooling, and the rest are calling for heat, those other 3, like let's say 1 is calling for cooling and 2, 3, 4 are calling for heat, then 2, 3, 4 have localized heat going through a coil and a fan that will circulate just in the room. So the air handler itself will give cooling so that one can be satisfied, and then the other three will have heat going through this coil here so that they can also satisfy. These are a real pain in the butt to work on. The access panels are in the pre-function in front of the entry. You've got to climb up, you got to take a lift up, climb off the lift onto a catwalk to get to them. They have filters in them. The filters, we put like a MERV 3 on them because they only get used for the heating coil. So they do not need to be changed all the time. They run maybe like 1 month a year, a little more. It's very rare. And there is baseboard heat in there as well. So that is air handler 1A-3. But they are in PMs. The guys should be going up there. They should be checking them. I know that they're difficult to get to. The baseboard heaters. So just looking at a map. So these are the studios on second floor. There's a baseboard heater that goes here. There's a zone. This is studio 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't know which way. This is on second floor though. There's a baseboard heater that runs the full length of here. Then it goes back up to the ceiling, and then it drops down. It comes through Great Room 1. So these hammer. All of them hammer. So what we did was we had them come out and we had them rebuild the valves. There's a thermostatic actuating valve in there, right? It's got a knob that you turn. There is a chart in the instructions for that component. It's just a manual valve. Those should not be responsible for the whole heat in that room. All they're for are freeze protection so that it doesn't get extremely cold by your windows. So those should be set really low to like 64 degrees. If we get below that, then they kick on and they'll allow heat to come through. Reason being is if these are in charge of providing all the heat to these rooms and they open every time somebody wants it to be warmer in there, they hammer. The valves themselves are only rated for like 160 PSI, but the pumps are on the roof and the pressure from it coming down from the roof is like 170. So the pressure in the pipe is over the rating of it. So the valves, I think, are not able to fully close. And the spring inside, when it gets cold enough, there's a thermostat inside that valve, and it goes ba-bum, 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 because it's trying to stop the pressure from happening. So my advice is for those baseboard heaters, they should be set to the lowest setting possible. And if they're still letting water through and it's not cold, then the valve is broken and you need to call or have them rebuilt. We do have some rebuild kits, but this is a pain in the ass every freaking winter. These pipes hammer. So if you're having issues with the guests are too cold, you just need to make sure that your VAVs, which are here in the ceiling outside of the entries, you need to make sure that those VAVs here before the studios are working and are getting heat coming into the room so that you're not relying on baseboard heats. All right. Another thing that we added just down here is, so domestic water was never on the BMS, which is crazy because we would have the temperatures get to 70 degrees in the domestic water and we wouldn't know until the guests called us. So we set these up. These are the leak alarms. Leak alarm, leak alarm, leak alarm, leak alarm. So we put them in all of the spaces. Looks like none of them are triggered right now. And then we put the domestic hot water for the hotel here. And then, I'm sorry, there's the 120 loop and the 140 loop. So kitchen, hotel, and then residences. Something is wrong with the residences one. I did not see this before, but something is not correct with that controller because they're reading negative 96. So they need to fix that. But this is good. We're not really, we're right at 120. We did just rebuild the mixing valve here for the domestic water, and we're getting a little cold water coming back from, this might be something to investigate. We got like a 30-degree delta. So there could be something bleeding across. or we could be having a pump issue on the domestic 140. That's just for the kitchens. Exhaust fans over here on the right, so really important. There are elevator shaft exhaust fans. These should yeah, okay, good. This is not good. Something is not right with this one fan. There's a fan status alarm. There are pressure issues with the elevators. So if these fans ever were to turn off, doors stop closing on certain floors, like right by fit. So because there's an exhaust at the top of the elevator shaft that allows air to escape as the elevator moves up and down. There's an exhaust fan that's inside there that runs like 24/7. So need to make sure that those are being troubleshot, work properly. There's toilet exhaust fans on the roof. Oh, this one's for the hotel. So this one is the toilet exhaust fan for all of the hotel rooms. Exhaust fan 1A1, 1A2. There's one for the loading dock that was for exhaust. It is so difficult to get to. We just turned it off and left it off. There are vents in the side of the loading dock door, and it's open all day long. So it was, I think, put in there in case it idled, but we don't run it. I forget what the other one's for. There's another one on, but it's running right now. Garage exhaust fans. So there's CO2 sensors in the garage. There's 6 exhaust fans. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. So there are there's 6 CO2 sensors. Looks like one of them is bad, but the other ones are working right now. So this one does need a new sensor. Be a good small CapEx project in the future to replace those. Kitchen exhaust fan 2. To be honest, I don't know where this one is. KEF2. Oh, that one's, the residences have an exhaust fan for the kitchen. It's a little tiny exhaust fan that's on the roof. There's also an exhaust fan monitor. So all of these exhaust fans, there are 8 stacks of toilets in the residences, and there are exhaust fans for everyone. I'm not sure. Oh no, they're all showing on. They have a timer. So there is a analog timer on the roof, which turns off and turns on. This is just, all they have are status lights down here. And then there's 2 dryer exhaust fans. So it splits the room's dryers back up to each other on the east 2 rooms and on the west 2 rooms, because there's 4 residences per floor. And these dryer vents here, there's 2 stacks that come up to the roof. There's a fan that pulls that up there. ERV 1 and 2. ERVs are the kitchen fans. They named them ERVs, but they're not ERVs. ERV is a energy recovery ventilation, I think it stands for. The air that you're bringing out with heat, you bring it back into, it's not happening. It's not what it is. They're just exhaust fans. This is a status light for the kitchen exhaust, banquet kitchen, and kitchen exhaust, Halifax kitchen. Vestibule, HVB1. That is the very front entrance lobby foyer. They're just a little tiny fan. Like if this is the lobby right here, the vestibule, there's just a heater that just circulates heat around. It's in the ceiling of the garage. It's like wrapped in drywall. It looks like it's fine, but it can cook in that room. Right now it's 80 degrees in there. But in the wintertime it's needed because it gets so freaking cold. Refrigerant alarm. So refrigerant alarm, this is important. We did set this up when I was here. We put the refrigerant alarm in 2022. In 2021, when I got here in November, all of the tubes were rotted and crumbling apart, and it didn't work. So someone had turned off the refrigerant alarm. It had been off for years. So just make sure we stay on top of it. Once a month, they should be checking in on it. There are 3 panels on there, or 4 outputs. There's 3. Leak or spill. So the 2 smallest ones will throw an alarm based on like ppm. So it could be a little bit for a leak. A spill is larger. Then there's an evacuate. Evacuate if it's over like 1,000 ppm. When it goes over 1,000 ppm, the exhaust fans turn on in the space. The strobe lights go on, and there's a large leak alarm that goes off. And there's strobe lights from either side. And then there's also a fault light. So this is really important. Every 3 months, there's an inline filter that needs to be changed. It's about $100 on Grainger. I've ordered it. If you look up refrigerant refrigerant filter, you can find where I bought it from Grainger. Buy 4 of them for the year, and every year you replace them. Like clockwork. It's like every 3 months they go bad. They are hydroscopic. So as soon as water gets in there, there's like little beads inside. They turn black, and then it clogs it. And you got to change it every 3 months. I'm leaving in the next 2 days. I believe I saw there's 2 filters up there. So the next time it goes bad. Fuel monitoring system. So the fuel tank in the basement, as the generator, there's floats actually on the 3rd floor roof. There's a storage tank of like 500 gallons. As the fuel level goes down, it will command the system downstairs to pump fuel up to the roof. So there's a fuel system on there that has like an overflow tank. So if it does start to leak, high level, low level, it will throw alarms here. Same with the generator. The generator point list will also land here. There's overspeed, high coolant. Anytime there's something is wrong, it will send an alert to the BMS system. Exhaust fan B7. Yeah, don't worry about this. This is the basement. There is an exhaust fan in the old telecom room. It's been abandoned for years. It never gets warm in there, and they removed a lot of the equipment because it was antiquated and just ran fiber to the building. So don't ever waste your money fixing exhaust fan B7. You'll see it at some point. It's down on it's like on the River Street side in the basement. It's pointless to replace it. Just leave it. I think that's it for the top display. As far as going through and scheduling items, so the team is supposed to be using, anytime they do BMS changes, it looks like either the front page isn't there anymore, or we haven't made any changes since February, but they should be putting any changes to the BMS on there so that we can go back and review it. It does pull a log of it, but let's look at the ballroom, for example. So let's say someone changed the set point in the ballroom right here to 76 degrees. So I'm pretty sure it was me. Oh no, that's not what we wanted. No. So we go to Great Room, we go to Set Point, we go to System Activity. This is going to show you any change that's ever been made to this set point. We change this one all the time. So it will show you the date and time, the person who changed it right here, and it will show you the old value and the new value. So if someone is making stupid changes on the BMS, you can always go back and look at them and say, hey, I saw you change this to 76 degrees on the 15th. Why would you do that? That's way too hot. But it's good because then if they write the reasoning up there, then they could also put comments in here. But it's good for you to be able to see changes on there. Now, when the guys are... So the night before, the second shift engineer is scheduling the changes for the following day using the BEO. So the events for catering. So the way that they do that is they go in, so schedule all zones. Let's say there's a big group in the ballroom. They would come down here, they right click this, and they go to schedules, and they click on point schedule. And this will bring up the schedule. Jeff knows how to do this. Most of the guys know how to do this. Victor knows how to do it. And what they do is they can add in a schedule. So last night on the 21st, there was an event in the ballroom from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And Jeff scheduled it. So if he wanted to schedule something for tonight, we go and add event. We leave it at command on. They change it to today, which is the 22nd. They add in a start time and a stop time and click OK. And it will populate an event in there. They do that for everything. They don't do it for offices, but just the main 7 meeting spaces. Studios 1 through 4, Great Room 1 and 2, and Lulu's. Data viewer, if you want to set up trend logs and stuff, you can go to like top display. You could look at the chillers and pumps. You could right click on something. You can go to data viewer and you can do edit trend log and you can create trends, or you can open the data viewer and see a trend that's already been placed in there. I have some trends on some things. Chill water supply temp should have a good trend on it. I think we pull data for a certain amount, and over here it will show it on there. Load data. Takes a little bit to load. There we go. So it will show us our chill water supply temp and our chill water return temp, and we can see how those counteract with each other. And we can also grab a section and zoom in. We can get a little bit more. And down here it will tell you the units, the chill water return temp units and the chill water supply temp, so we can look at them as we're going through. So if you ever need to record something overnight, you can check to see if there's a trend log created, but you can also build one out using Trend Log Builder. G can show you how to use this. I'm not going to go into it, but if you want to create trend logs, great way. You can also look at system activity there on that main screen. You can see everything that everyone did. They logged in, logged out, system shut down. You can see everything every day if you want to. You can see every time somebody changed a reading, anytime anyone changed anything. I've never used System Request Monitor, but I think that's it. All right, cool. Good luck.